To complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. The country's inflation rate remained at 6.7% in October after 9 consecutive months of acceleration. The Philippine Statistics Authority says there were movements recorded among commodity groups in terms of yearly growth rate. Higher annual increases were observed in several commodity groups, including housing, water, and transport, while slower price increases were recorded in the indices of food, and non-alcoholic beverages. Inflation was fastest in the Bicol region with 9.9%, while Central Luzon posted the slowest inflation rate of 4.4% during the month. The PSA also notes a pattern of easing commodity prices in Metro Manila. Malacanang says the latest inflation rate reflects the government's anti-inflationary measures.
Well, apparently the measures undertaken by the government has affected the inflation rate, so we'll maintain them.
Meanwhile, proposals seeking to provide additional benefits for government employees have been filed at the Senate following the approval of a 25 peso hike in minimum wages of private workers in Metro Manila and other regions. In the bill authored by Senator Antonio Trillanes, government employees working in night shift should be given night differential and hazard pays. The proposal, however, excludes public health workers and uniformed personnel as they belong to different salary grades. Senate President Vicente Soto III meanwhile pushes for a salary upgrade for around 5,000 employees of the Commission on Elections. The proposal is in response to the appeal of the COMELEC Employees Union for substantial and just salary adjustments.
Since 1992, hindi nagkaroon ng substantial na movement, upward movement ng salary grade ng mga empleyado ng COMELEC.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board vows to probe complaints of transport operators on the alleged sudden increase of fees that they have to pay for the new fare matrix. Bus and jeepney operators trooped to the LTFRB office earlier to get a copy of the updated fare matrix following the implementation of the minimum fare hike. Aside from higher processing fees, transport operators are also complaining about the alleged tedious process in getting fare matrices. But LTFRB Chairman Martin Delgra says the influx of operators in their offices was unexpected considering the days that had gone by.
Hindi naman din po tayo nagkulang kasi the fare matrix have been ready even a week before that week during the holiday. I just don't know why the driver operators did not opt to get the fare matrix early on. I would not call it mishandling. It just happened na nagdagsaan yung nagpuntahan ng mga operators.
The LTFRB is also looking to review the current fare structure following the price rollbacks in petroleum products. In other news, several cabinet members of President Rodrigo Duterte get briefed by security officials on illegal drugs and lawless violence and other issues being faced by the country. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo says the briefing held at the Malacanang is a repeat of the recent national security meeting attended by some cabinet executives in Cebu. Also discussed in the lecture was President Duterte's appointment of men with a military background in the government.
Of course, we feel that national security matters is very important other than the usual concerns of the state. And members of the cabinet have to know. Because not all members of the cabinet know the rationale behind.
Meaning, are there kind of misgivings from
Oh,
other?
definitely no. It's
None.
more of information to them so that they will know how to explain when they are asked.
One of the top police officials in Zamboanga del Norte died in a drug buy-bust operation in Dipolog City on Monday. Police Superintendent Santiago Rapis, the logistics office of the Zamboanga del Norte Police Provincial Office, was killed in a shootout after he allegedly tried to escape at the height of a drug raid. Police recovered from the crime scene more than 500,000 pesos worth of shabu, buy bust money worth 50,000 pesos, and a .45 caliber gun. Rapis was said to be on the list of cops who recycle and sell confiscated drugs, and also on the narco list of President Rodrigo Duterte for allegedly serving as a prosecute protector of slain drug lord Melvin Odicta. A lifestyle check on Rapis revealed that he owned 5 houses and a number of expensive cars.
When he was assigned in Region 6, and allegedly he was receiving 700,000 pesos weekly in Region 6 from the different drug personalities in Region 6. His name was came out as a drug protector when several high-value target was arrested by PDEA.
The Overseas Workers Welfare Administration launches a new identification card for overseas Filipino workers. The OFW e-card will serve as both proof of membership and an overseas employment certificate for all OFWs. The OEC is a required document before a Filipino can work abroad. Labor officials says the newly launched ID will give OFWs faster access to OWA's programs and services, including welfare services, scholarships, training programs, and social benefits. OFWs can also use their e-cards as exit clearance whenever leaving the country. The OFW e-card also has a digital version that can be downloaded through the agency's mobile app.
That the card will benefit OFWs in many ways possible. And the e-card is not just proof of OWA membership upon payment of the required contribution, but as a means for easier access to OWA programs and services. And that the card also functions as a government-issued ID card.
Expect rain in parts of the country tomorrow. Leslie Longbowen is at the UNTV Weather Center to tell us why. Leslie?
Yes, good evening. Pag-asa is not monitoring any tropical cyclone at the moment, whether inside or outside the Philippine area of responsibility. However, easterlies prevail and will trigger rain in parts of the country tomorrow. Palawan, Central and Western Visayas, Caraga, Northern Mindanao, Zamboanga Peninsula and Southern Leyte will experience cloudy skies with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms. Meanwhile, Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have generally fair weather. According to Pag-asa, temperature in Metro Manila tomorrow will range from 24 to 33 degrees Celsius, 15 to 26 degrees Celsius in Baguio City, 25 to 31 degrees Celsius in Metro Cebu, and 25 to 34 degrees Celsius in Metro Davao. Tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:53 in the morning. That's weather forecast. Back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Leslie Longbowen from the UNTV Weather Center. And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. Several media networks in the United States dropped President Donald Trump's 30-second ad as critical elections draw near. Beverly Saison tells us why.
NBC, Fox News, and Facebook pulled an ad by President Donald Trump's campaign that critics had labeled racist as a bitter election fight for control of the U.S. Congress headed on Monday for an unpredictable finish. The 30-second ad, which was sponsored by Trump's 2020 re-election campaign and which debuted online last week, featured courtroom video of an illegal immigrant from Mexico convicted in the 2014 killings of 2 police officers, juxtaposed with scenes of migrants headed through Mexico. Critics, including members of Trump's own party, had condemned the spot as racially divisive. CNN had refused to run the ad, saying it was racist. NBC, owned by Comcast Corp., said on Monday it was no longer running the ad, which it called insensitive. Fox News Channel, which Trump has repeatedly named his favorite broadcaster, also said it would no longer run the spot. Fox News, a unit of 21st Century Fox Incorporated, said it had made the decision after a review but did not elaborate. Facebook Incorporated said it would no longer allow paid promotions of the ad, although it would allow users to share the ad on their own pages. Trump batted away reporters' questions about the network's decision to drop the ad as he departed Joint Base Andrews in Maryland for a rally in Cleveland. After Ohio, Trump headed to campaign against vulnerable Democratic U.S. senators in Indiana and Missouri at the end of a 6-day pre-election sweep that has featured heated rhetoric about immigration and repeated warnings about a caravan of Central American migrants moving through Mexico toward the U.S. border.
If you want more caravans, if you want more crime, vote Democrat tomorrow. If you want strong borders, you see what we're doing? We got the worst laws because they won't give us the votes. If you want strong borders and safe communities, no drugs, no caravans, vote Republican.
Opinion polls and election forecasters favor Democrats to pick up the minimum of 23 seats they need on Tuesday to capture a majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. Democrats also are threatening to recapture governors' offices in several battleground states such as Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, a potential help for the party in those states in the 2020 presidential race. Democratic former President Barack Obama delivered donuts to campaign volunteers in a House district in suburban Virginia, where Democrat Jennifer Wexton, a state senator, is challenging Republican incumbent Barbara Comstock in a fiercely contested race. Obama said the country's character and its commitment to decency and equality were on the ballot on Tuesday.
Character of this country is on the ballot. Who we are is on the ballot. What kind of politics we expect is on the ballot. How we conduct ourselves in public life is on the ballot. How we treat other people is on the ballot. And the good news is that all across the country, what I'm seeing is this great awakening.
About 40 million early votes, including absentee, vote by mail, and in-person ballots, will likely be cast by Election Day, according to Michael McDonald, a professor at the University of Florida who tracks the figures. In the last such congressional elections in 2014, there were 27.5 million early votes. McDonald estimated that 45% of registered voters would cast ballots, which would be the highest for a midterm election in 50 years. Beverly Sison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Indonesia's National Transportation Safety Committee reveals an airspeed indicator of a Boeing Company 737 MAX plane that crashed last week, killing all 189 people on board, was damaged for its last 4 flights. The damage was revealed Monday after data had been downloaded from the plane's flight data recorder. Officials are asking Boeing and U.S. authorities what action to take to prevent similar problems on this type of plane around the world. Authorities have yet to recover the jet's cockpit voice recorder from the seafloor, just northeast of Jakarta, where the plane crashed 13 minutes into its flight. A massive operation involving the army is underway after a group of armed men stormed a boarding school in Bamenda, Cameroon. Meanwhile, a highway in the Peruvian highlands was the scene of a deadly crash that left over a dozen people dead. This report tells us why. In Cameroon, dozens of people, mostly students, have been kidnapped from a boarding school in the western part of the country. At least 79 pupils and 3 others, including the principal, were seized early on Monday morning in Bamenda, the capital of the Northwest region, a government official said. A massive search operation involving the Cameroonian army is underway. In Peru, a highway in the highlands near Lake Titicaca was the scene of a violent crash on Monday. According to local media, a truck crashed head-on into a passenger bus that left both vehicles completely destroyed and 18 people dead, among them 12 women and a child, and other 39 injured. The bus had departed earlier in the day from a city at Peru's border with Bolivia and was traveling along a highway that skirts the Lake Titicaca when this crash occurred. And in Australia, a man died after he was attacked by a shark in waters off Australia's tropical northeast coast on Monday, police said, the third attack in the popular tourist region in the last 2 months.
The 33-year-old Australian man was paddleboarding and then swimming off a chartered yacht in the Whitsunday Island Sid Harbor when he was bitten by a shark at around 5:30 p.m. on Monday. The man suffered severe injuries in his legs and arm and was resuscitated before being transferred to a hospital. The attack follows two others in the same area in September when a 12-year-old girl and a 46-year-old man suffered severe injuries from shark attacks while swimming on 2 consecutive days. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kath Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. England football manager Sven-Göran Eriksson is set to lead the Philippine Ascals in November, AF Suzuki Cup and 2019 AFP Cup. Meanwhile, the United States Olympic Committee is seeking to strip USA Gymnastics of its status as a national governing body. Here's why from Victor Cosare.
England football manager Sven-Göran Eriksson assumed his new role as the Philippine national team's head coach on Monday. Eriksson takes charge of the team, commonly known as the Ascals, 2 months after Terry Butcher stepped down from the role without having led a training session. Eriksson said at a news conference in Manila that he has set his sights on bringing the Philippines to the finals of this November Suzuki Cup, then lead the Ascals to its Asian Cup finals debut in January.
Well, I think the pressure is on the whole team, on the directors, the federation, on the coaching staff, of course, and myself, to try to do better in Suzuki Cup than Philippines has done before. And that means at least reaching the final. So, of course, that's a pressure because you have a lot of good teams in it. But we're going to try, and we all look forward to it, and especially I look forward to it, of course.
The former England captain was appointed in June, only to announce in August that he would not be continuing in the role. The former Ivory Coast coach, who won the series title in 2000 during his time with Lazio, will work alongside Scott Cooper, who has been in charge of day-to-day affairs in the Philippines since Butcher stepped down. Rafael Nadal has pulled out of next week's ATP Tour Finals in London due to injury. French Open champion Nadal announced that an abnormal muscle problem, which prevented him from playing in the Paris Masters last week, and ankle surgery had forced him to pull out of the season-ending event. Spaniard Nadal's withdrawal in Paris meant Novak Djokovic returned to the top of the world rankings. The Serbian will now become the first player since ATP rankings were introduced in 1973 to end the year at number 1, having started it outside the top 20. The United States Olympic Committee is seeking to strip USA Gymnastics of its status as a national governing body, saying athletes deserve better. In January, ex-USAG team Dr. Larry Nazar was sentenced to up to 175 years after nearly 160 women accused him of sexual abuse. His victims included Olympic champions Ali Reisman and Simone Biles. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue.
A food museum opens in Sweden, handing out vomit bags as tickets to visitors. Viewers are warned that the things in videos you are about to see and hear might induce disgust and stomach rolling for some. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
People visiting a museum in Malmö, Sweden had their senses put to the test on Thursday when they encountered the disgusting food museum. The dead mouse in the Chinese wine sure looks nasty. And the maggots in the cheese tend to put people off. But nothing is more horrible to an unaccustomed palate than the Icelandic fermented shark. It's the worst, or so says the expert.
You gotta smell it.
It tastes like chewing on a urine-infested mattress. It's a fermented, sort of rotten Icelandic shark. Anthony Bourdain, the late TV personality, called it the single most disgusting thing he'd ever eaten. And I totally agree with him.
From spicy rabbit heads to fruit bat soup, the collection, now on display in the Swedish city of Malmö, aims to challenge perceptions of taste and help visitors contemplate why one culture's abomination is another's delicacy. Grasshoppers, cooked animal skulls, and other body parts, including an eyeball, are on display in pots or on boards. European fare ranges from Iceland's cured shark, hakarl, to Sardinia's casu marzu cheese, which is riddled with insect larvae. There is Scottish haggis, made from sheep innards, and Sweden's smelly surströmming fermented herring. Asian foods include the strong-smelling durian fruit and stinky tofu. North America is represented by sweet treats, Jell-O salad, and root beer. Some visitors have a hard time of it, with two being sick, but the tickets are really vomit bags.
When I first arrived, I was skeptical, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to walk around and read about all the different disgusting foods around the world. And it was fun to smell and see, and more than just watching on Discovery. It was worth it. It was good.
I think it's really interesting because things like Vegemite, which we find really normal at home, like we'll eat that every day for breakfast, and next to things like the shark that I couldn't imagine tasting, and I think it is revolting. So it's quite funny for us.
After 3 months, West plans to take the show on the road and bring the museum to other cities. Leslie Longboman, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news November 6, 2018. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, and Angelo, Castro III, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.